A Florida state attorney says his office will not pursue charges against Donald Trump's campaign manager for pulling the arm of a reporter in March. Corey Lewandowski was accused of grabbing Michelle Fields as she attempted to speak to Trump after a press conference. Here to explain the decision is Florida State Attorney David Aronberg. David, thank you so much for your time. What was the biggest factor?
Great to be here, Meg.
What was the biggest factor in deciding not to prosecute this case?
The video itself was very telling. The video does show that Mr. Lewandowski did grab Ms. Fields' arm. And so we agreed with the Jupiter Police Department that probable cause existed for a battery charge. But the reason why we didn't file the charges is because we have a higher standard than probable cause. We have to have a good faith basis that we can get a conviction beyond a reasonable doubt. And we believe that because of the potential defense for Mr. Lewandowski, that he was defending Mr. Trump, who was being touched, albeit briefly, by Ms. Fields, that no reasonable jury would convict in this case. So it would have been unethical for us to file the charges.
David, before the video was released, Lewandowski flat out denied this ever happened. Then we all saw the video, it's playing on our screen right now, that disputed that. How did that factor into all of this?
It is a factor in determining the likely success of his defense because he did say publicly that he never touched Ms. Fields, and the video shows otherwise, of course. But ultimately, we had to make the decision whether a jury would find for the defendant or the other way around. And we found that no jury, no reasonable jury, knowing that you are allowed to defend others by committing an unwanted touching, that no reasonable jury would have convicted in this case. We did take into account that he said what he said, but ultimately we had to look at the totality of the circumstances and determine that we could not, in good faith, move forward with his prosecution because we knew we would not be able to get a conviction beyond a reasonable doubt.
How about the bruises on Michelle Fields' arms? Why didn't that help her case?
Oh, well, that was part of it. But remember, the reason why we decided not to file is because we have a higher standard. We agree that probable cause existed, that a battery was committed. But because of the defense of others, which is part of the statute that you're allowed to commit an unwanted touching if you are trying to defend others, because Ms. Fields entered a protective bubble that the Secret Service had warned her to move back, and then she still entered the protective bubble and got so close to Mr. Trump that she actually touched Mr. Trump, and that made Mr. Trump flinch and made Mr. Lewandowski reach out and grab her arm. That because of that, we felt that no jury would convict him, even though Ms. Fields had those bruises.
David, you reached out to Michelle Fields today. How did she respond to your decision not to prosecute?
She was disappointed. She wanted us to prosecute this case.
Did she say anything else?
Well, I'll let you speak with her. I don't want to put words in her mouth because it was a quick conversation that I had with her. My assistant, who was the chief assistant who oversaw this investigation and decision, Adrian Ellis, had 3 conversations with her and had the more extensive recent conversation informing her that we would not be pursuing these charges. I know that she was disappointed, but that's to be expected. Look, we think that probable cause existed, that she was the victim of a battery, but we don't think that because of our higher standard as prosecutors that we would be able to convince a 6-member jury unanimously that Mr. Lewandowski was guilty of battery beyond a reasonable doubt because of his defense.
All right, David Aronberg, appreciate your time. Thank you so much.